Good morning, everyone. Happy February. We're almost through February already, so that's pretty amazing that that happened so quickly. I've got another couple questions here for us. Looks like we've got about 6 or 7 or 5. I don't know what the number is. So let's just jump right into it and see where we end up. All right. First question comes from Lysandra Wilson. What are the strategies for combating budget objections from clients and better conveying the value of the product? I have a baking business and specialize in custom cakes and dessert tables. When customers inquire about cakes, I give them price quotes and design options. Even with that, they often feel the cakes are too expensive or didn't know the cake design they are originally inquired about would cost as much as I am quoting. Great question. So there's a couple different ways to approach this. Let me just think off the top of my head. So one price strategy is don't tell them the price for like a really long way into the conversation. Tell them all the other value and all the other great things. Get them really in love with the product, with the idea of having it, how it's all going to fit together. And even if they keep asking you for the price, don't tell them. Hold off until the very last minute before you tell them actually what it costs. So they've kind of made the mental, emotional commitment to they really want this thing. So that's one approach. As an add-on strategy to that is before you tell them the proper price, the price that you're going to charge them, tell them a bigger number first. There's a book called Persuasion, which talks about all these details, but this is all like psychology stuff. If you tell people a larger number, and it could be a larger number in general, it doesn't have to be dollars, it could just be like the size of, the miles around the earth, some big number. It sets people's mind towards this larger number, this anchoring idea. It anchors their mind higher. So then when you come in with your price, with your number that's lower than that, they kind of feel more comfortable because that number is lower than the last number. It doesn't even have to be in the same units, but it makes a difference. So it's kind of a fun little strategy there. That's why a lot of times you'll see people saying, giving a quote unquote discount. So if your price is $100, maybe when you quote them, you say, look, you sell them on all the great stuff and you say the price is normally $150, but because of some reason it's $100. So like let that $150 sink in and then be like, but you know what? It's $100, right? Today, whatever. That's why people do that strategy. The other part is make sure you fish where the fish are. If the people that you're selling to are not responding to your pricing, and assuming your pricing is based on the quality work that you do and that it's actually a good product and the effort that goes into it, then maybe you're just talking to the wrong people. So you might want to look at the people who have bought from you and happily pay the price, and look at those people who don't, and then determine what pool you should be fishing in. And make sure you stick and you focus all your effort on only talking to those people who are going to be more responsive based on their demographics or however they all look the same. So there's a couple good ones. Okay. Next question is from Lysandra Wilson. How can I be more organized in my business, especially when managing different orders and client projects such as weddings and large parties, as well as business documents, contacts, etc.? I have a baking business specializing in custom cakes and dessert tables. They are a variety of orders, contacts, and documents that I need to keep and stay organized to save time and stay on top of each order to be efficient. Great question. So I think I can, because I don't know your exact needs, I don't know if I can give a specific recommendation, but one thing I can give a recommendation of is, so that's the difference between working in the business and on the business, right? You're working in the business when you're actually producing the product and making sales and doing all that stuff. You're working on the business when you lay out your systems and processes and management of all these documents. Generally speaking, if something takes you an hour to do in the business and you're going to create a process around it, you can spend up to 40 hours creating the process and getting things organized for that hour, right? Like to kind of remove that hour or to do the work that you have to do in order to get control of that hour in a systematic way. Like that's kind of a good way to budget your time. So meaning you're going to need to put a lot of time into this effort of kind of getting these things organized. So I guess the answer is you need to spend some time on it and actually document and write things down and plan what you're actually going to do. Obviously, people will recommend software to you. People will recommend whatever. It doesn't really matter how you do it as long as you have thought through the system, the process that you manage. If you need help doing that, you can always get people to kind of help you go through that. But either way, that step-by-step process needs to be thought through. Otherwise, everything does remain relatively chaotic. Your best case scenario in that scenario is that a process kind of organically develops. Maybe it's not the most efficient, but at least you don't lose stuff, and at least things are somewhat manageable. But yeah, it really comes down to spend the time on it. Okay, Billy Rowe Sales. When do you know you are ready to hire others? Construction companies sometimes slow during the winter, but picks up for a good 7 months overall. When do you know you're ready to hire others? Well, I guess one way is if your own time is all fully maxed out. If you're limited by your own hours and you can't produce any more revenue because you just are spending all your own time, that's probably the first sign that you need to hire somebody. You could also look to hire people from a administrative perspective and do that a little bit earlier. That'll allow you to kind of maximize your time a little bit more. Like, so you maybe start with your administrative side to make sure you're not fully stuck doing everything yourself. That's maybe a good part to start. But I need to know more about your specifics. Billy Rowe Sales again. Tips on SEO. How important or not has SEO been for your business? You're in a construction company. It depends on the business. If I'm doing B2B sales, probably less important in my previous history because I'm usually connecting with my B2B customers through different means that are maybe not them doing Google searches and trying to find me. If it's B2C, again, generally much more important because that might be a source. I think that's the thing people don't think too much about is again, how am I getting my customers? Google is really just, SEO is just a way in which a customer might find you. And maybe your business is the type that would be fully dependent on, people just randomly searching for whatever it is that you do. Maybe that's your business model, and maybe that's what you've decided is the case. If that isn't the case, though, it's probably not important at all. Like, just make sure you have a nice website so that if somebody does happen to look at it because they saw you somewhere and then they Googled your name, at least you pop up. But really, if they know your name and they know your location, the SEO is not super important to making that search query active. Unless, of course, you have like some super generic name in a super generic industry, then maybe that would make a difference. But if they have the domain name, they would just search for that. They would just go right to your website. So yeah, depends on your situation and who you're selling to. All right. Question, Cherie Moore. What is the best minimal cost way to get prospects into my sales funnel? I have a self-publishing service company where I help leaders produce quality books. I've been in business for 3 years and had a strong referral base up until October 22. Initially, I connected with prospects through direct message or I reached out to people I knew. Sometimes prospects would contact me through my social media pages or my website. Since my referral business has slowed down, I want to draw more people to my funnel so that I schedule more weekly sales calls, which I hope will lead to more closed deals. My goal is to establish more predictable weekly and monthly income based on my business and the tools I'm using. What is the best way to get more prospects to my sales funnel? The tools. I have a Wix site, Dubsado for CRM, which includes auto emails, no bulk emails, the scheduler for sales calls, etc. To do. I have to link my CRM and website and also get the automated workflow in place. That can happen this week. Okay, Cherie. I guess my question would be, it sounds like your referral business, whatever, however you were getting those referrals, has ended. So you're having top of the funnel issues. So first, yeah, get all that back end stuff straightened out. Okay, awesome. You're going to get all your CRM and all that stuff connected. I think I'm a little bit familiar with the business of helping folks write books. You're probably, I guess it would come down to knowing who your target customer is and how the best way to connect with them. I generally am, just like your referral business, I'm generally more of a fan of connecting with people in real life in some way, or at least like more of a one-to-one type connection as opposed to like kind of generic digital advertising. So I think that's going to be your to-do. I think after you get kind of your technical aspects worked out, how do you get them into your funnel? I think there's going to have to be some conversation around who is your target audience, like who is your best customer, or maybe 3 or 4 or 5 avatars of your best customer, and then how do you connect with those particular groups? Is it through associations? Do you do speaking? Do you organize webinars? What are all the different things you would do on the top side? I'm trying to think what else you would do. There's a certain knowledge leader activity that has to happen there. So anything that establishes you as an expert in your field, and maybe in a specific industry, like if you've done like stuff that's specifically in biotech or something that's like, something that's specific, I think that probably also helps the communication and load people into the top of that funnel so you can keep communicating with them till they buy something. Okay, that's it. I don't have any more questions to answer. Have a good rest of your February, and we'll see you next time.